Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnavitini Prabhupada Priya Shri Girirajaya Swami Sivakshararas Bihari Bhimbhakti Shakmadaya Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnavitini Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pracharya Mukham Karoti Vachalam Panghum Nandayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Venataranam. All right, so actually I'm just listening, to Bhakti Charu Swami's Sharanagati, because we were reading Bhagavad Gita chapter 1866, where the six symptoms of surrender, right? And one devotee asked and said, she's not understanding. And I say, Bali Maharaj is also an example of the surrender. And like we are reading this 5th canto, and it's quite gruesome, right? The whole description, whether you're high up there or you're down there, at the end of the day, we are locked in a horrible world. So when Maharaj is describing the Sharanagati, how soothing he is, right? Like that hope that hope that he's giving, his voice is very soothing. And I realized that at the end of the day, it's like this is what we want. The Sharanagati of, Krishna. All this unnecessary struggle. Okay, so we are reading this. We've done text 24, no? So we'll go into 25. Chapter 24, text 25. Yasya anudasyam evasmat pitamaha kila vavrena tu swapitriyam yat Utta kuto bhayam padam diyamanam bhagavata paramiti bhagavato parate khalu swapitta pitari. Bali Maharaj said, my grandfather Prahlad Maharaj is the only person who understood his own interests. Upon the death of Prahlad's father, Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narasimhadev wanted to offer Prahlad his father's kingdom and even wanted to grant him liberation from material bondage. But Prahlad accepted neither. Liberation and material opulence, he thought, are obstacles to devotional service. And therefore such gifts from the Supreme Person Godhead are not his actual mercy. Consequently, instead of accepting the results of karma and jnana, Prahlad Maharaj simply begged the Lord for engagement in the service of his servant. Purport. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed that an unalloyed devotee should consider himself a servant of the Supreme Lord. Gopi bharatu padakamalayor dasa dasanudasaha. In Vaishnava philosophy, one should not even become a direct servant. Prahlad Maharaj was offered all the blessings of an opulent position in the material world and even the liberation of merging into Brahman. But he refused all this. He simply wanted to engage in the service of the servant of the Lord. Therefore, Bali Maharaj said that because his grandfather Prahlad Maharaj had rejected the blessings of the Supreme Person Godhead in terms of material opulence and liberation from material bondage, he truly understood his self-interest. So this is very, very, deep philosophy, I don't know whose class I'm hearing, whether it's Prabhupada's class, or maybe, I don't know whose class. Oh yeah, Keshav Bharati Maharaj class and Brihad Bhagavatamrita. So he's explaining that usually people think that yoga is very difficult, therefore it must be highest than everything else. So Keshav Bharati Maharaj explaining that we say that bhakti is more difficult, right? Why? Because of this. We don't want to surrender. Whereas the other is just like physically it is difficult, right? But in bhakti, it's your heart has to be given to Krishna. It is very difficult, right? So therefore it is the most difficult. Text 26. Tasya mahanubhavasyanupatham amrijita kasyaya koi vasmad vidha parihina bhagavat anugraha upajigami shatiti. Bari Maharaj said, persons like us who are still attached to material enjoyment, who are contaminated by the modes of material nature, and who lack the mercy of the Supreme Person Godhead, cannot follow the supreme path of Prahlad Maharaj, the exalted devotee of the Lord. So, Read this again. Huh? This is Bali Maharaj who is saying, persons like us who are still attached to material enjoyment, who are contaminated by the modes of material nature, and who lack the mercy of the Supreme Person Godhead, cannot follow the supreme path of Prahlad Maharaj, the exalted devotee of the Lord. It is said that for spiritual realization, one must follow great personalities like Lord Brahma, Devarshi, Narada, Lord Shiva and Prahlad Maharaj. The path of bhakti is not at all difficult if we follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas and authorities. But those who are too materially contaminated by the modes of material nature cannot follow them. Although Bali Maharaj was actually following the path of the grandfather, because of his great humility, he thought that he was not. It is characteristic of advanced Vaishnavas following the principles of bhakti that they think themselves ordinary human beings. This is not an artificial exhibition of humility. A Vaishnava sincerely thinks this way and therefore never admits his exalted position. So this Sharanagati, you've heard, this Dainya. Actually, it's amazing how that we know about this 6 symptoms. We always start with Anukulyasya and then Pratikulyasya, right? I never thought until I heard Maharaj speak that start from the bottom, Dainya. It's like that verse is ulta. Right? It's ulta. And when Maharaj started explaining Dainya, Dina, right? So how he's thinking. 27. Tasya anucharitam uparishtad vistarishyate tyasya bhagavan swayam akhila jagad guru narayano dwari gada panir avatisthate nija jananukampita hridayo henangushtena pada dasa kandharo yojana yuta yutam dig vijaya uchahitah. Tasya of Bali Maharaj. Anucharitam, the narration, Uparishtat, later in the 8th canto. Vistarishyate will be explained, Yasya of whom. Bhagavan, the Supreme Person of Godhead, Swayam, personally. Akhila Jagad Guru, the master of all the 3 worlds. Narayana, the Supreme Lord Narayan himself, Dwari, at the gate. Gada Panihi, bearing the club in his hand. Avatishtate, stand. Nija Jana Anukampita Hridayaha, whose heart is always filled with mercy for his devotee, by whom. Angushtena, by the big toe, pada, of his foot, Dasha Khandaraha. Dasha Khandaraha is Ravana, who had 10 heads. Yojana Ayutam, a distance of 80,000 miles. Digvijaya, by the purpose of gaining victory over Bali Maharaj. Uchatitaha, driven away. Shukdev Goswami continued, my dear king, how shall I glorify the character of Bali Maharaj, the Supreme Person Godhead, the Master of the 3 worlds, who is most compassionate to his own devotee, stands with club in hand at Bali Maharaj's door. When Ravana, the powerful demon, came to gain victory over Bali Maharaj, Vamandev kicked him a distance of 80,000 miles with his big toe. I shall explain the character and activities of Bali Maharaj later. So when Ravan, the powerful demon, came to gain victory over Bali Maharaj, Vamandev, what he did? Kicked him. just kicked him a distance of 80,000 miles with his big toe. So meaning with only his toe, threw him out. Meaning that when the devotee is protected, yeah? When the devotee is protected, then nobody can harm him. I shall explain the character and activities of Bali Maharaj later, in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, text 28. Tato dhastat talatale mayo nama danavendrastri puradhipatir bhagavata purarina trilokisham chikirshuna nirgadha swapuratrayas tat prasadal labdha bhato pado mayi vinam acharyo mahadevena parirakshito vigata sudarshana bhayo mahiyate. Below the planet known as Sutala. So as we read earlier, so Bhuloka is here. So it's describing that just like it's below. So that's why, like it's not like expanding like we read earlier, no? Like moon is bigger than sun, and then Rahu is bigger than this one, and then all the planets, they were bigger. Here it's not like this. This is below. It's like same strata as the earth, same size. Right? Is what we read. So beneath the planet known as Sutala, meaning that you take a tunnel. This is subterranean. So you go from one place to the next through the tunnel. So it's inside. So beneath the planet known, so they're translating Loka as planet. Beneath the planet known as Sutala is another planet called Talatala. So Sutala is where? What is the Sutala? Sutala Lok? No. Atala, Vitala, Sutala. No, what is this Sutala? We just read about it. Sutala. Yeah. Sutala Lok is where Bali Maharaj lives. Now below Sutala is Talatala, which is ruled by the Danava demon Maya. Maya is known as the Acharya, master of all the Mayavis, who can invoke the powers of sorcery. For the benefit of the three worlds, Lord Shiva, who is known as Tripurari, once set fire to the three kingdoms of Maya. But later, being pleased with him, he returned his kingdom. Since that time, Maya Danava has been protected by Lord Shiva. And therefore, he falsely thinks that he needs not fear the Sudarshan Chakra of the Supreme Person God. Very interesting. I'm a devotee of Lord Shiva, right? So nothing can touch me. And here, Bhagavatam is saying you may be a devotee of Lord Shiva, but the time factor, which is the Sudarshan of Lord Vishnu, will not spare us. But we have heard, if we surrender to Krishna, then the Sudarshan Chakra protects. We'll give a last cut, okay? One last cut and that's it.
Is the same Maya, no? The one who built the house.
Yeah. Maya Danava, yeah. He's architect. Text 29. Tato dhastan mahatale kadraveyanam sarpanam neka shirasam krodhava shonama ganaha kuhakal takshaka kaliya Shushena adi pradhana Mahabhagavatanta Patatri Raja Dhipate Purusha Vahat anavataram udvijyamanaha shwakalatrapatya surit kutumba sangena kvachit pramata viharanti. The planetary system below Talatala is known as Mahatal. Mahatal. It is the abode of many hooded snakes, descendants of Kadru, who are always very angry. The great snakes who are prominent are Kuhaka, Takshak, Kaliya, and Shushena. I don't know which snake, had entered the arrow of Karna, I think. There's one snake, there's a demon. He had entered the arrow of Karna. He had a vengeance against Arjun. And he, I don't know. No, not that Shakti. No, not that Shakti, but an arrow he had sent. And I think, I don't know, I've forgotten, that he had entered the arrow. So remember that this war was actually a war between the Asuras and the Suras. And their weapons, they were not ordinary yantra. Their weapons were actually the devas. And they were mantra. They were mantras. So mantra means the person behind the mantra. So I don't know which snake, maybe Shushane, I don't know. I've forgotten. Takshat, yeah, Takshat now who had come to kill Parikshit Maharaj. So they came from down, from Mahatal. Mahatal. So Talatal, again I've forgotten what is this Talatal. Okay, Talatal is where where Maya Danava lives. And then below Talatal is this Mahatal. So that Maya, so this Talatal, so it looks like they're architects. Right? Maya, so they made this an assembling house in Indrapras. I was completely Mayik, right? Mayavi, right? Mayavi. So you couldn't figure out where's water and where is just plain, right? My God. And that. Oh my God. Anyway, that was not nice. The snakes in Mahatala, are always disturbed by fear of Garud, the carrier of Lord Vishnu. But although they were full of anxiety, some of them nevertheless sport with their wives, children, friends, and relatives. Like, forget that death is waiting us, right? Okay, while we can enjoy, let us enjoy. Purport. It is stated that the snakes who live in the planetary system, known as Mahatal, are very powerful and have many hoods. They live with their wives and children and consider themselves very happy, although they are always full of an anxiety because of Garud, who comes there to destroy them. This is the way of material life. Even if one lives in the most abominable condition, he still thinks himself happy with his wife, children, friends, and relatives. So just see what, this is standard of happiness, right? That you have your family consists of all this. That's solo life, right? Text 30. Tato dhastadharasatale daiteya danava panayo nama vivata kavachaha kaleya hiranya purvasina iti vibuddha pratyanika utpatya mahojaso mahasashasino bhagavataha sakala लोकानुभावस्य हरेरेव तेजसा प्रतिहता बलावलेप vileshaya eva vashanti evai saramanyandra dyutya vagbhir mantra varnabhir indra vibhayati. Oh God, I already said before, we are just killing the Sanskrit here, right? Oof. Anyway, lucky Prabhupada is with us, right? If we have to pronounce the Sanskrit that way, we don't know which loka we'll end up in. Beneath Mahatala is a planetary system known as Rasatal, which is the abode of the demoniac sons of Diti and Danu. So there are two mothers, one is Diti and one is Danu. They are called Pani, Nivata Kavacha, Kaleyas and Hiranya Puravasi, those living in Hiranyapur. They are all enemies of the demigods, and they reside in holes like snakes. From birth, they are extremely powerful and cruel, and although they are proud of their strength, they are always defeated by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Supreme Person Godhead, who rules all the planetary systems. When a female messenger from Indra named Sarama chants a particular curse, the serpentine demons of Mahatala becomes very afraid of Indra. Purport: it is said that there was a great fight between these serpentine demons and Indra, the king of heaven. When the defeated demons met the female messenger Sarama, who was chanting a mantra, they became afraid, and therefore they are living in the planet called Satal. So we don't know too much about this, but maybe in other Puranas it's described. Oh, okay, it's over now. Tato dhastat patalena galoka patayo vasuki pramukha shankha kulika mahasankha shweta dhananjaya dhritarashtra shankha chida kambala vasvatara devadatta dayo maha bhogini maharamani Nirvasanti. Patala Vivaraha, caves of Patal planetary system. So, translation: beneath Rasatal is another planetary system known as Patal or Nagalok, where there are many demoniac serpents, the masters of Nagalok, such as Shankha, Kulika, Mahashankha, Shweta, Dhananjay.
2 lines here, we didn't read.
Sorry?
2 lines, we didn't read.
What's that?
On the top.
Oh, okay. Yesham huhavai pancha sapta dasha shata sahasra shirshanam fanasu virachita mahamanayo ruchishnava patala vivaratimira nikaram swaruchisha vadhimanti. Beneath Rasatal is another planetary system known as Patal or Nagalok, where there are many demoniac serpents, the masters of Nagalok, such as Shankha, like Shankachuda. I don't know whether he's from that Shankha, maybe Shank, right? Kulika, Mahashankha, Shweta, Dhananjaya, Dhritarashtra. Here it is, Shankachuda, Kambala, Ashvatara, and Devdatta. All right. This Devdatta, remember? Who is Devdatta? Who? Who is Shank?
Yeah, Dhananjay.
Dhananjaya. Panchajanyam Rishikesho Devata Dhananjaya. So Shankachuda, Kambala, Ashvatara and Devadatta. The chief among them is Vasuki. They are all extremely angry and they have many hoods. Some snakes 5 hoods, some 7, some 10, others 100 and others 1,000. These hoods are bedecked with valuable gems, and the light emanating from the gems illuminate the entire planetary system of Billa Swarga. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of 5th canto, 24th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Subterranean Planetary System, Heavenly Planets, Subterranean Heavenly Planets. Can we remember now what it is to up for all the Swarga, right? Swarga, Mahalok, Janalok, Tapalok, Satyalok, right? So now beneath, remember again, huh? So this is subterranean, meaning the exact same size. That's what we read. So Bhulok is here. So if we drill a hole, there's a tunnel that takes us down to all those lokas. Huh? So it starts with Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Rasatala, no, Mahatal, Rasatal, then Patal. So in Patal are those snakes. So the snakes have hoods and they have that jewel. So it's like Surya is there up. So here from the gems on their heads, hoods, so they are illuminating that Billa Swarga. What is this Billa Swarga? Billa Swarga.
The bill there says Swarga.
Bill, right?
Bill means something.
Whole, right? Whole, bill. Subterranean bill. Billa Swarga. And what is Swarga? Billa Swarga. What is this Swarga? Why? Imitation heaven. It's an,
All those facilities.
yes, imitation heaven. This is Billa Swarga. So we call it Swarga, where devoid of Krishna. And therefore it's much better than even what you find in the Swargalok. All right, so read now.
Hare Krishna, chapter 25, Glories of Lord Ananta. In this chapter, Sukdev Goswami describes Ananta, the source of Lord Shiva. Lord Ananta, whose body is completely spiritual, resides at the root of the planet Patal. He always lives in the core of Lord Shiva's heart, and he helps him destroy the universe. Ananta instructs Lord Shiva how to destroy the cosmos, and thus he is sometimes called Tamasi, or one who is in the mode of darkness. He is the original deity of material consciousness, and because he attracts all living entities, he is sometimes known as Shankarshan. The entire material world is situated on the hoods of Lord Shankarshan. From his forehead, he transmits to Lord Shiva the power to destroy this material world. Because Lord Shankarshan is an expansion of Supreme Personality of Godhead, many devotees offer him praise in the planetary system of Patal. All the Suras, Asuras, Gandharvas, Vidyadharas, and learned sages offer him their respectful obeisance. The Lord talks with them in a sweet voice. His bodily construction is completely spiritual and very beautiful. Anyone who hears from him, from a proper spiritual master, becomes free from all material conception of life. The entire material energy is working according to the plans of Anantadev. Therefore, we should regard him as the root cause of material creation. There is no end to his strength, and no one can fully describe him, even the countless with countless mouths. Therefore, he is called Ananta, unlimited. Being very merciful toward all living entities, he has exhibited his spiritual body. Sukdev Goswami describes the glories of Anantadev to Maharaj Parikshit in this way.
Oh, this is little difficult. Huh? So this is Anantadev. Glories of Anantadev. And when we read Chaitanya Charitamrita also, so this comes. So much arrangement just to keep us in prison. Right? So much work. Right? Construction, the fort, right? To keep us in prison. So much work for all the devas, for Lord Vishnu himself. It's terrible, right? Shri Shuka Uvacha Tasya Mula Deshe Trinshad Yojana Sahasrantara Asteya Vehikala Bhagavatas Tamasi Samakhyatamantaiti Sadvatiya Drastri Drishyayoho Shankarshanam Ahamiti Abhimana Lakshanam Yam Shankarshanam Itya Chakshate. Shri Shukadev Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, "My dear king, approximately 240,000 miles beneath the planet Patal." See, now we've gone through the 7 loka, right? Now below Patal lives another incarnation of the Supreme Personal Godhead. He is the expansion of Lord Vishnu, known as Lord Ananta or Lord Shankarshan. He is always in the transcendental position, but because he is worshipped by Lord Shiva, the deity of Tamo Guna or darkness, he is sometimes called Tamasi. Lord Ananta is the predominating deity of the mode of ignorance as well as the false ego of all conditioned soul. When a conditioned living being thinks, "I'm the enjoyer and this world is meant to be enjoyed by me," this conception of life is dictated to him by Shankarshan. Thus, the mundane conditioned soul thinks himself the Supreme Lord. All right, just read this.
Hare Krishna. Translation. Sri Sukadev Goswami said to Maharaj Parikshit, "My dear king, approximately 240,000 miles beneath the planet Patal lives another incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is the expansion of Lord Vishnu, known as Lord Ananta or Lord Shankarshana. He is always in the transcendental position. But because he is worshipped by Lord Shiva, the deity of Tamogun or darkness, he is sometimes called Tamasi. Lord Ananta is predominating deity of the material mode of ignorance as well as the false ego of all conditioned souls. When a conditioned living being thinks, "I am the enjoyer and this world is meant to be enjoyed by me," this conception of life is dictated to him by Shankarsana. Thus, the mundane conditioned soul thinks himself the Supreme Lord. Purport. There is a class of men akin to Mayavadi philosophers who misinterpret the Aham Brahmasmi as Soham Vedic mantras to mean, "I am the Supreme Brahman and I am identical with the Lord." The kind of false conception in which one thinks himself the supreme enjoyer is a kind of illusion. It is described elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 5.5.8, Janasya moha yam aham mameti. As explained in the above verse, Lord Shankarsana is the predominating deity of this false conception. Krishna confirms this in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Sarvasya chaham riddhi sanavisto mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart at Sankarsana, and when a demon thinks himself one with the Supreme Lord, the Lord keeps him in that darkness. Although such a demonic living entity is only an insignificant part of the Supreme Lord. He forgets his true position and thinks he is the Supreme Lord. Because this forgetfulness is created by Sankarsana, he is sometimes called Tamasi. The name Tamasi does not indicate that he has a material body. He is always transcendental, but because he is the super soul of Lord Shiva who must perform tamasic activities, Sankarsana is sometimes called Tamasi.
So this is a lot of philosophy that we have discussed many times. So I'm not going to go over it again. The Lord is situated in everyone's heart as Sankarshan. And when a demon thinks himself one with the Supreme one with the Supreme Lord, the Lord keeps him in that darkness. Although such a demoniac living entity is only an insignificant part of the Supreme Lord, he forgets his true position and thinks he's the Supreme Lord. This is terrible, actually. It's terrible. We have to be locked in that conception that we are the Supreme Lord, right? And because of that conception, we dominate, right? We dominate people. We are so cruel. I just heard, Maharaj Bhakti Swami describe how this, I think it was Nawab Hussain Shah, So he wanted to build a huge tower of victory, huge tower of victory. So he had an architect and an engineer so he took him up that tower. Actually, I heard two versions of this, but Maharaj tells this in this way. So when he found some fault in this, you know what he did? He took that man, he dropped him from the top. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? What type of cruelty, right? These are the people that's being described here.
But when they built Taj Mahal, after that, the world also built, the hands were cut and all.
So because this forgetfulness is created by Shankarshan, he's sometimes called Tamasi. The name Tamasi doesn't indicate that he has a material body. So Lord Shankarshan has nothing to do with this. But he's doing this work of keeping us in ignorance. The false ego. So these are all very complicated. We have discussed this in third canto. It's coming again here. Text 2. Yasyedam shiti mandalam bhagavatonanta murte sahasra shirasa ekasmineva sheshani dhriyamanam siddhata eva lakshyate. Shukdev Goswami continued, this great universe situated on one of Lord Ananta's, thousands of whose appear just like a white mustard seed. He is infinitesimal compared to the hood of Lord Ananta. Yasya hava idam kalenopasanjihirsatu marsha virachitaru chira brahmad bruvur antarena shankarshano nama rudra ekadasha vyuhas Triyakshastri shikham shulam atambhayan udatishtat. At the time of devastation, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. This Rudra, who is known as Shankarshan, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras, or incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. So just read this. At the time of devastation, meaning that's end now, when Lord Anantadev desires to destroy the entire creation, he becomes slightly angry. Huh? Slightly angry. So what is this slightly angry? So what does he do? Then from between his two eyebrows appears three-eyed Rudra carrying a trident. So from Anantadev is coming this Rudra. This Rudra, who is known as Shankarshan, is the embodiment of the 11 Rudras, or incarnations of Lord Shiva. He appears in order to devastate the entire creation. So this is very significant. So also it means that when our bodies are getting destroyed, because now let's read this. In each creation, the living entities are given a chance to close their business as conditioned souls. When they misuse this opportunity and do not go back home, back to Godhead, Lord Shankarshan becomes angry. Right? So this material creation is a chance to close our business as conditioned soul and go back home, back to it. Lord Shankarshan becomes angry. Then what does he do? The 11 Rudras, expansions of Lord Shiva, come out of Lord Shankarshan's eyebrows due to his angry mood, and all of them together devastate the entire creation. So 11 Rudras. So that's why this picture here, right? This is all Rudra. 11 Rudras come out.
Till now we had impression only Lord Shiva does. It all is expansion.
Yeah. Now, at the end of creation, the 11 Rudras came out. And they are doing some work now. Devastation. So see, there is devastation of the creation. But there is also individual, right? Individual devastation. We read in second canto, I forgotten, those 10 topics of Bhagavatam. So it speaks of Nirodha, right? This annihilation. And then Mukti. Mukti means the final annihilation of the body and subtle body. So this Rudra principle also appears. Rudra, applies. Sorry, one day I won't be able to speak English. You know that? Won't be able to. I forget the words. It's amazing. You didn't know that. I told you how this doctor told me. Some people, because this is all second language or whatever language, right? They forget completely the acquired language and they remember only their original language. Om Agyana Timiranyasya Jnananjana Shalakaya. Right? Om Agyan Timiran. We are born in ignorance. Text 4. Yasyangri Kamala Yugala Runa Vishadha Manaka Mani Shanda Mandaleshvahi Patayah Saha Sadvatar Shabher Ekanta Bhakti Yogena Vanamantaha Svabadannani Parishpurat Kundala Prabha Mandita Ganda Sthalani Ati Manoharani Pramudita Manasa Khalu Vilokayanti. The pink transparent toenails of the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems polished to a mirror finish. All right. You know how so it's pinkish, is it? Pinkish? Yeah. Where is it? Yeah, pink. transparent. You know how the ladies, they put this varnish, right? Transparent, right? Varnish. The pink transparent toenails of the Lord. So here, Lord Vishnu didn't put any varnish. The pink transparent toenails of the Lord's lotus, meaning that beneath itself it is pinkish, and the toenail is transparent. Such detail. Angri Kamala Yugala Aruna Vishada. Just see how beautiful. Let's read the Sanskrit again, because this is a description of the body of Lord Ananta. Let's read again. Yasyangri Kamala Yugala Runa Vishada Nakhamani Sandamandaleshvahi Vatayaha Saha Sadvatarishbher Ikanta Bhaktir Yogena Vamanantaha Swavadanani Parishpurat Kundala Prabha Mandita Gandha Sthalani Ati Manoharani Pramudita Manasa Khalu Vilokayanti. You know, like when I read this, you know how in Bharatnatyam, right? In Bharatnatyam, how they depict all this, and they will have the proper tal, they will have the proper, now I'm just reading my own childish way, right? They're going to pronounce, you know, this, the classical music, what you call that? That South Indian classical music, Carnatic, right? That music, so they have the tal, and they would, and then you will find those who are depicting, right, each and every movement describing the beauty of Anantadev. So the pink transparent toenails of the Lord's lotus feet are exactly like valuable gems polished to a mirror finish. Oh my God, this is Shukdev Goswami speaking poetry, right? Polished to a mirror finish. And anyway, whoever translated this also is very good. Nakha Mani Sanda, like gems, valuable gems. When the unalloyed devotees and the leaders of the snakes offer their obeisances to Lord Shankarshan with devotion, they become very joyful upon seeing their own beautiful, you know, snakes have beautiful faces anyway, upon seeing their own beautiful faces reflected in his toenails. Their cheeks are decorated with glittering earrings, and the beauty of their faces are extremely pleasing to see. So, unalloyed devotees and leaders of the snakes. So, I heard that these snakes actually they take human form. So, sometimes they are like naga, right, and sometimes they are human. Text 5. Actually, you know, I remember long back there was one movie like this. There was one movie, you know, like this snake. Well, they must have read all this, so they made that movie. So sometimes snakes, sometimes Nagkanya, and what? Ichhadhari. Oh, okay, Ichhadhari, Nagkanya. Oh, okay, so this is what's being described here. Anyway, we want to be Gopika, right? Right? Krishna's Gopika. Don't want all this. Yasyeva hi Nagaraja Kumarya Ashisha Ashasanas Charavanga Valaya. But Sanskrit is so beautiful. Vilasita Vishada Vipula Dhavala Subhaga Ruchira Bhujarajata Stambheshva Guru Chandana Kunkuma Pankanulepe Lavalimpam Manastat Abhimarashanonmathita Hridaya Makaradhwaja Veshruchira Lalita Smitas Tad Anuragamada Mudita Mada Vighurni Taruna Karuna Valoka Nayana Vadanaran Ravindam Savridam Kila Vilokayanti. Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles, and completely spiritual. So, Lord Ananta's arms, so this is Shankarshan. His name is also Shankarshan. So, Lord Ananta's arms are attractively long, beautifully decorated with bangles, and completely spiritual. They are white, so that's like, Baladev, right? They are white, and so they appear like silver columns. When the beautiful princesses of the serpent kings, hoping for the Lord's auspicious blessing, smear his arms with aguru pulp, sandalwood pulp with kunkuma, the touch of his limbs awakens lusty desires within them. Understanding their minds, the Lord looks at the princesses with a merciful smile, and they become bashful, realizing that he knows their desires. Then they smile beautifully and look upon the Lord's lotus face, which is beautified by reddish eyes rolling slightly from intoxication, and delighted by love for his devotees. In such a hell, still hear what is going on. Right? This below Patal Lok, right? See what's going on there. Purport. When males and females touch each other's bodies, their lusty desires naturally awaken. It appears from this verse that there are similar sensations in spiritual bodies. Both Lord Ananta and the women giving him pleasure had spiritual bodies. Thus, all sensations originally exist in the spiritual bodies. See, this is a very important point. This is confirmed in the Vedanta Sutra. Yeah. Janmari asya yataha. Yeah, see, Prabhupada is writing everything that we're thinking of. So it's here. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented in this connection that the word Adi means Adi Ras, the original lusty feeling which is born from the Supreme. However, spiritual lust and material lust are completely different as gold and iron. Only one who is very highly elevated in spiritual realization can understand the lusty feelings exchanged between Radha and Krishna, or between Krishna and the damsels of Vraj. Therefore, unless one is very experienced and advanced in spiritual realization, he is forbidden to discuss the lusty feelings of Krishna and the gopis. However, if one is a sincere and pure devotee, the material lust in his heart is completely vanquished as he discusses the lusty feelings between the gopis and Krishna, and he makes quick progress in spiritual life. Text 6. Saeva Bhagavan Ananto Nanta Gunarnava Adideva Upasamrita Marsha Rosha Vega Lukanam Swatasya Ste. All right, Mirabai, you can read this.
Translation by Venkateshwar Prabhupada. Lord Shankarshan is the ocean of unlimited spiritual qualities, and thus he is known as Ananta Dev. He is non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the welfare of all living entities within the material world, he resides in his abode, restraining his anger and intolerance. Purport: Ananta Dev's main mission is to dissolve this material creation, but he checks his anger and intolerance. This material world is created to give the conditioned soul another chance to go back home to back to Godhead. But most of them do not take advantage of this facility. After the creation, they again exercise their old propensity for lording it over the material world. These activities of conditioned souls anger Anantadev, and it desires to destroy the entire material world. Yet, because he is the supreme personality of God, it is kind towards us and checks his anger and intolerance. Only at certain time does he express his anger and destroys the material world.
Yeah, you also get irritated, right? When you're preaching, people are not taking, they're not listening, right? We get, but here, point is here, we also control ourselves, right? We may slip and then we say, anyway, we have to do it for the sake of the conditioned soul. But finally, Anantevya say, okay, now time to wind up. So anger, though we think it is, asuric quality anger, right? And people reproach, how come you're devotee, you're angry, right? But see, you really you're provoked, right? Let's read this again. So he's saying that for the welfare of all living entities within this material world, he resides in. Yeah, what does he have? That's why I say, what does he have to do in this material world, right? So Vishnu has to come. It's like a parent. Wherever the child is going, the parent is running, right? Just to see, the welfare of his children. So, for the welfare of all living entities within this horrible material world, he resides in his abode. So, okay, he will sit still in his abode, because wherever the Lord resides, this is Vaikunt, right? Restraining his anger and intolerance. What's that? Upasamrita, who has restrained Amarsha. Amarsha means intolerance, rose means wrath. Vegaha, so it's a force, urge, the urge of anger and intolerance, but he controls it. Terrible. 7. Gyayamana sura suro raga siddha gandharva vidyadhara muni guneranavaratah mada mudita vikrita vihvala lochana sulalita mukharekam ritena swaparshada vibuddha yuthapatin parim lanaraganava tulasi kamodam madhuvasavena madhyan madhukaravratha madhura gita shriham vejayantim swam vanamalam Nilavasa eka kandalo halaka kudikrita subhaga sundara bhujo Bhagavan Mahindra Varanendra iva kanchanim kaksham udaralilo bibharati. This is sounding very nice. Let's read now. Shukdev Goswami continues, the demigods, the demons, the Uragas, serpentine demigods, Uragas, the Siddha, the Gandharva, the Vidyadharas, and many highly elevated sages constantly offer prayers to the Lord because he's intoxicated. The Lord looks bewildered, and his eyes, appearing like flowers in full bloom, move to and fro. Oh my God, I really like this Bharatnatyam depiction, right? They do it perfectly. Move to and fro. He pleases his personal associate, the heads of the demigods, by the sweet vibrations emanating from his mouth. Dressed in bluish garments and wearing a single earring. Oh, he wears a single earring. He holds a plow on his back with his two beautiful and well-constructed hands. So this is like Balaram, right? Appearing as white as the heavenly king Indra, he wears a golden belt around his waist and a Vaijayanti garland of ever-fresh tulsi blossoms around his neck. Bees intoxicated by the honey-like fragrance of the tulsi flowers hum very sweetly around the garlands, which thus becomes more and more beautiful. In this way, the Lord enjoys his very magnanimous pastimes. Anyway, this art, this Bharatanatyam, what do you call that? That Shastra? Gandharva, right? I think this, what it is, Gandharva Shastra. Poetry, dance, and all this. Do you know how they'll take this? How they'll take it and they'll break it. They will make the sound of the bees, right? Everything. It's amazing. I discovered so much. I'm getting excited reading, reading all this description. We won't complete. Huh? We won't complete. So we read, 15 verses. We won't complete. Let's read the last one. Ya esha evam manushrito dhyayamana mumukshuna kala karma vasana gratitam avidyam hayam hridaya grantim satvarajas tamomayam antar hridayam gata ashu nirbhinati tasyanubhavan Bhagavan swayam bhuvo narada sahat tumburuna sabhayam brahmana shamshlokayan asa. If, okay, read.
Hare Krishna. Translation. If persons who are very serious about being liberated from the material life hear the glories of Anantadeva from the mouth of a spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession, and if they always meditate upon Shankarsana, the Lord enters the cores of their hearts, vanquishes all the dirty contamination of the material modes of nature, and cuts to pieces the hard knot within the heart, which has been tied tightly since time immemorial by the desire to dominate material nature through fruitive activities. Narada Muni, the son of Lord Brahma, always glorifies Anantadeva in his father's assembly. There he sings blissful verses of his own composition, accompanied by his stringent instrument or a celestial singer known as Tumburu. None of these descriptions of Lord Anantadeva are imaginary. They are all transcendently blissful and full of actual knowledge. However, unless one hears them directly from a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplic succession, one cannot understand them. This knowledge is delivered to Narada by Lord Brahma, and the great saint Narada, along with his companion Tumburu, distributes it all over the universe. Sometimes the Supreme Personality of Godhead is described as Uttam Shloka, one who is praised by beautiful poetry. Narada composes various poems to glorify Lord Ananta, and therefore the word Sanaslokayam Asa, praised by selected poetry, is used in this verse. The Vaishnavas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya belong to the disciplic succession stemming from Lord Brahma. Lord Brahma is the spiritual master of Narada. Narada is the spiritual master of Vyasadeva, and the Vyasadeva wrote the Srimad Bhagavatam as a commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Therefore, all the devotees in the Gaudiya Sampradaya accept the activities of Lord Ananta related in the Srimad Bhagavatam as authentic, and they are thus benefited by going back home, back to Godhead. The contamination in the heart of a conditioned soul is like a huge accumulation of garbage created by the three modes of material nature, especially the modes of rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance. This contamination becomes manifest in the form of lusty desires and greed for material possessions. As confirmed herein, unless one receives transcendental knowledge in disciplic succession, there is no question of his becoming purified of the contamination.
So just see, like when you send WhatsApp messages, you send a message, then it stays there, right? You've spoken something, it's just stay there. That's what's happening actually. Do you realize that? So everything that we speak, it gets recorded, just like on our phone or whatever, because we are translating instead of sound, we are putting it in. We are putting it in form. The sound we are transcribing into form. We read in the third canto how ether has form, right? And Prabhupada says someday the scientists will discover this sound has form. So it is stored on our WhatsApp messages. And it's strange how we don't delete them, right? Very strange. Like if I call you, I hang up the phone, right? Here what we do, we store it. So actually, each and every time we are speaking, it is being recorded in the Akash somewhere, right? So here Prabhupada is explaining the contamination in the heart of a conditioned soul is like a huge accumulation of garbage created by the three modes of material nature. So this one devotee, he works in all this internet stuff. So he said that, can you imagine how many crore of people are using all this internet? And so he said the amount of garbage that is accumulated in the ether. Before, I speak to you, you speak to your circle, it's over. Now, it is global. Anytime you can speak to anybody. Now, not only that video, right? So, it's very sad actually, extremely sad. Yeah, so this Anantadev has that component of Shankarshan, and the Shankarshan has what? 11 Rudra, right? And those 11 Rudra, they are cutting our... So for devotees, they will sever the subtle body, the gross body from the soul. And that's how the soul gets liberated. So we really vacho vegam manasukroda vegam, right? Speak only as much as necessary. Your text message is there, delete them. There's no need to accumulate them. Delete them. It's like getting a printout of everything that you have spoken. Right? It's terrible. It was so strange for me the first time. And then after some time you got used to it. Just lying there. Then what you will do, you start forwarding the same to other people, right? It's very, very risky, all this WhatsApp 10 million times. Only when we are using in Krishna's service, then it has value. All right, we'll stop here. There's a very long purport. We won't be able to go through. So we'll continue next month.